Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Let's take a new poem, An Evening Wet with Rain, which is written by Vedpal Deep. Dear students, Nimish Byak meaning, an evening kath when an evening wet with the rain. It is the last stage, it refers to the last stage of the poet, when the poet was in last stage of his life. Vedpal Deep, born in 1929, was an eminent Dugri writer. When he was born, 1929, and he was eminent means famous Dugri writer, prominent, noted poet. In which language? Dugri language. His publication Asate and Banjari Lok was awarded by J&K Academy of Art, Culture and Languages. He died in 1995. Mahmud Shikar, 1995. The poet remembers an evening wet with rain. It is an atmosphere of complete silence. The poet remembers an evening. It is the time. Yes, an evening is the time that at that time everything was wet with the rain. That is why the poet remembers an evening. It is an atmosphere of complete silence. And during that time, during the evening, there was complete silence all around. The poet draws numerous images from nature. And during that time, during the evening, he draws numerous images from nature to heighten the effect of silence and solitude. Silence means khamoshi. Solitude means tanhai. And that kind of silence and solitude has become greater and stronger. And what has become greater and stronger? The effect of silence and solitude has become greater and stronger. The poet seems to be depressed. Yus variyah mayus. Yam waqt, when the poet remembers an evening, ilmis yaad pewan su imsat im time pakan us, and there was atmosphere of complete silence. Perhaps for loss of hope that has darkened the evening of his life. Perhaps the poet has a loss of hope. He has no hope. Why? That has darkened the evening of his life means the last stage of his life. In the last stage, the poet was feeling hopeless. The poet is reminded of his childhood when he stood alone in the courtyard listening to the sound of the cymbal. The poet is reminding of his childhood days. When he stood alone in the courtyard listening to the sound of cymbal. Cymbal means a flat musical instrument made of brass. Ginti. He regrets that the days gone by do not return. That is why the poet regrets. But why? Those days won't return to his life. Which days? Childhood days. In Dugri, the poem is called Badlaine Sijri Sanjan. Chat. Dugri Mazvana. The poem. Kashnav Badlaine Sijri Sanjan. Let's take the first stanza of this poem. An evening wet with rain, as I walk through the lane, the heart beckons the hands to hold them with love. The mind also knows subtle signals of the breeze, should I stand on the ground or waft with the wind. An evening wet with the rain. The poet remembers an evening that is wet with the rain. As I walk through the lane. Where was the poet walking during that time? He was walking through the lane. Lane means narrow road, narrow path. The heart beckons the hands to hold them with love. The poet calls his companion, his beloved, to hold his hands with love. The mind also knows subtle signals of the breeze. This is what the poet feels. The poet feels that his heart and mind have grown weak. The mind also knows the subtle signals of the breeze. The poet says that his mind only knows what a gentle breeze that is blowing. Should I stand on the ground or waft with the wind? Dear students, now the poet was in confusion. He can't decide. Yet should I stand on the ground or waft with the wind? Yeli or is gasan use shamatna zichis. That is why the poet was in confusion. Whether stand on the ground or waft with the wind means to move gently through an air. He can't decide. He was in confusion. Imi hukne decide hi kirit ki kya baby ama khada yat ground means can bakar waft with the wind. Waft with the wind means to move gently through an air. Windows, doors, awnings of the houses are wet. Cool breeze stir the leaves of the yonder banyan tree. The collar of my coat is also wet with drops of the rain. All around ran silence. During the evening, the poet has, these are the images. Windows is the image, doors, awnings of the houses. It means due to rain, everything is wet. Windows, doors, awnings of the houses are wet. Awning is just one, dear students, a sheet of canvas. Kya sheet of canvas is a mujib ki bachawas that saves us from the heat of sun and rain. That means that is one awnings. And everything has become wet. Windows, doors, awnings of the houses are wet. During the evening, when the poet was walking through the lane, cool breeze stirred the leaves of the yonder banyan tree. The poet sees a banyan tree at a distance. The cool breezes are stirring its leaves. Whose leaves? The leaves of banyan tree. Stir kachis vana stir means to as ushmut itkan to tato bacho travash kun sat travash kan dava छ आसान जिस लावां इसको आबस या आबस या दोदस मन छ कांच चीज लावां पचेस करा तात शेक सो शेक करन तात छ वना स्टेयर सो हल करन खतर छ करा स्टेयर मींस मूव cool breeze stir the leaves. Whose leaves? The leaves of banyan tree. At what time? During the evening, when the poet was walking through the lane, means narrow road. The collar of my coat is also wet. The collar of the poet's coat has also become wet. How? With the drops of rain. All around rain is silence. And there was an atmosphere of complete silence when the poet was walking through the lane. And there was complete silence and solitude all around. तम वक्त उस पोइट करा क्या उस करा फील इस बाशे सरसी खामोशी तो बे बाशे सॉलिट्यूड मतलब वो तन्हा कहाँ ही उसने पका फिर except the poet, and that kind of atmosphere the poet feels. What kind of atmosphere? Complete silence. Rain is R-E-I-G-N, dear students. Rain means go rule, dominate, but it does not mean here that. It means atmosphere. It meaning poetic meaning, it means atmosphere. Okay, it means meaning rain means rule. My feet are cold with water seeping through my shoes. My eyes are heavy with sleep. Or is it fever? The ground is very slippery. There is no place to stand. The mind is exhausted, looks for some spot to rest. How the poet's feet has become cold, dear students. As the water seeping through his shoes, that is why the poet's feet has become cold. The poet is feeling very cold in his feet as the water seeping through his shoes. Seeping go boots must abasun. Seeping means percolating. Seeping meaning oozing. My eyes are heavy with sleep, or is it fever? The poet was walking. Yes, he was walking through the lane for so many nights. The poet could not sleep. That is why his eyes are heavy. And the poet says that is it fever? Or it could be due to fever or sleep that his eyes are heavy. Dama यह है कि ऐसित ये यमुक असर तपुक असर न थे ऐसित कि शोंगन वारियान रचन कि उस पका या इस वनो एक सी रात ते अगर नहीं शोंग मुत आइस कि इन साथी पका आइस ये that is the also reason. The ground is very slippery. There is no place to stand. The ground has become slippery. Slippery means oily. Slippery means slippery का चीज़ ना जैसे तो ऐसा कुछ मत कान तो युशान शु यात कुंजे का कहीं दिशा आसान slippery यात पर slippery किस्त. That is called slippery. Oily, on which we can say difficult to stand. Something on which difficult to stand यात पर खड़ा भी होने का मुश्किल था चीज़ ना slippery. And what was the slippery during the evening? The ground is slippery. There is no place to stand. The poet was looking for a place where he can stand, but he find no place. And as the ground has become slippery, the mind is exhausted, looks for some spot to rest. Rest. Whose mind is exhausted? The poet's mind is exhausted when he was walking through the lane. The poet feels exhausted in his mind. It means exhausted means very tired. Looks for some spot to rest. The poet was looking for some place where he can sit and rest, but he finds no place. Thank you.